kawe ni artist mnoma unataka kucelebrate na gava, as long as mimi nasema as long as ujaenda hapo uanze kuambia wase sijui 2 times sijui pigia msekura, wewe piga shows, nimeitwa pale ni perform normally na perform normally na nashuka na mnipe pesa yangu niende nyumbani.
So for me mali nimelimwa sana is when I speak out about injustice kwa society, then wase wananiambia wewe ni DJ ufai unaongelea vitu za politics. Unajua ama wewe ni Mkristo haufai kuongelelea vitu za politics. But mimi nimedecide, hii Kenya ni yetu sisi wote.
Ruto akikuja kwa event yako,
utamfunguza,
unajua kuna hii hits. Ama utafanya kaya, utampatia photo session, what do you do about it, and should we then cancel you from that?
I'll do exactly what another politician will do. I'll talk about it and share my stand. For instance, if the president is sitting here, I'll make sure that he knows that we don't need houses. So
I want to see a Kenya where politics is redefined and the politician is also redefined. And I think that this is a generation that has that mandate to do so.
Hey there, welcome to Fanya Mambo Africa. Super excited again to be coming to you live from Baraza Media Industrial Area. Another week means we're having another conversation, and today with me I have interesting people on set, and this conversation today is about creatives. So of course when you see creatives here and in the audience, it means we're going to discuss creatives, governance, civic education, and why politics matters to all these categories of people. Extreme rights, Octo number 9. Salimia watu.
Nianze wase. Rada chafu. Kwamba hivi it's on Kibera, bizode.
Hey, nice. Ademba. TukoKadi.
TukoKadi vibaya sana. So, niaje majamaa. Mimi nijiintroduce tena.
Yeah.
So, mimi ni Ademba Allans, founder wa TukoKadi, na I'm happy to be here to contribute to the conversation.
Fantastic, good to have you. The guy behind the idea of this happening here, civic education. Why?
Hi everyone, naitwa Martin Tange, mimi ni curator wa Baraza Media Lab. So mimi ndio upanga form hapa ya Riverside, Kisumu, Nakuru, Mombasa. So mimi ndio host. It's good to meet you.
Nice. And of course, you can't have a conversation about creatives without having a DJ on set. Bado ni DJ?
Bado ni DJ.
Nice.
Kitambo lakini, but bado ni DJ. Once a creative, always a creative.
Nice.
My name is DJ Soxxy, and I'm honored to be here today. Yes, to add my voice on this, and also to bring an angle, because I'm a gospel DJ also, how the gospel plays into this space. Because watu wengi wanasemanga that church unyamaza saa zile vitu zinaenda mbaya. But what, as young people, what can we do to amplify the voice of TukoKadi?
Fantastic, I love that. The church part. When tunapiga kelele huko nyuma naomba we have a recording tupunguze tu kidogo. But we will start I'll start with Octo for purposes of wasanii waangaliwa sana in society, and you've not been quiet about good governance. You've always put your voice out when it matters. When we say art is a reflection of society, what exactly do we mean, and for Kenya in particular? Mix it up. Super pressure.
So yeah, personally, naweza sema kugrow mali tumegrow, music imekuwa tu a form of rebellion. Like my first ever song I do it inaitwa Voices of Kibera, na ilikuwa very political. Like mafano wangu ni tuseme nyoko hapo anaweza kuambia I have more political oriented songs compared to more commercial songs, and it's been intentional because I feel the best way vijana ku participate into politics, we make it fun for them, but also your fun inaweza trigger conversations. So unapata ngoma ka Oliel was a big song, one of my biggest songs, but it was political because it actually means it's burning. Tunachomeka, tunachoma vitu, watu wanachoma, but it's a very political song. It's sad that generation yangu, especially artists, wengi hawajakuwa able to embrace the community voice. Unaona, na understand kila mtu anataka kumake dough, kila mtu ako music is a business, but I think the fear always comes when you get blackmailed ama uko blackballed. Na mimi before hata nikuwe Octo nilikuwa nishafunikiwa na mlango, so there was nothing to lose by me speaking out about ill things that were happening in the community. But I feel like there's many artists, when we meet even backstage, when you wanna share the same sentiments, kama mimi, but they can't publicly say, because either wame sign contracts, asijui nani, radio station gani, hautacheza ngoma zako, hautaitwa show, and I think this has made so many artists waogope ku come out na kuongea publicly. Utaona once in a while kwa maandamano watoke na maplacard, but hawataongea. Unaona? So I think it is so important, especially for artists. It's like very important, because when you speak as an artist, I'll speak pekee kwa community yako, like nikirap si represent wasa wa Kibich pekee. Kuna mse yako huko Kongowea and I go through the same stuff. Kuna mse yako Kondelea kwa getu zote ni the same. Kuna mse anaweza kuambia ati getu ya Kibera ndo worse kuliko Korogosho and Kibera, like kila mtu ako mbaya. So when somebody in Korogosho can relate to the struggle and you can spark thought process yake, umwambie even tunaishi, si ati wazazi wetu wamesota, si ati wazazi wetu wafanyi kazi kwa bidii, ni system. Hii system iko structured work hivi. Kibera iko structured work hivyo venye na work. Venye iko hivyo inafaa ikuwe hivyo. So unless si wote tukama hapa hivi na tupige kelele like mazee nafaa mchange venye hizi vitu zina work. Hatuwezi kuwa tunalipa tax. Watu wa Kibich pia wanalipa taxes. Si ati sasa wana tunapewa kwa ati nyinyi kama venye mnaishi Kibera msilipe taxes mko mbaya. Venye bosi anabai unga runda ndio venye boy wa Kibich mwenye anafanya mjengo anabai unga. So I think it's really important for artists to use their platforms not only to entertain but to also spark conversation that matters, because as we grow, sasa tumeanza kuwa na watoto wetu pia wameanza kuitisha vitu sisi tulikuwa tunaitisha wazazi wetu. We are also getting into adulthood, sasa tutatoka kwa hizo stages na hizi problems tumekuwa wipe under the carpet in the name of entertainment zinaanza kutufikia, alafu itakuwa too late, because also sema you were in that spot for over like 20 years and you never said anything. Yeah. So why is it so important for you now to come out and say like, oh, government fanya hivi, oh, system inafanya hivi? And I feel especially young people today, it doesn't matter kawe ni msanii, your voice matters.
Everyone's voice.
Everyone, hata mse ana kura by the way. Hadi kijana mwenye hajafika 18, bado voice yake ina matter.
Okay, very important. I like the aspect you brought out of artists kukuwa na fear ya doors zinakuwa locked. Soxxy, you are a gospel DJ, and of course you interact not with just gospel artists but everyone across. How has been the experience? And when mwenyewe umefungiwa mlango because ulisema something that didn't sit well with a corporate perhaps?
Sijafungiwa mlango really, but ukikuja nimependa kile umesema, everyone's voice matters. Whether we ni msanii, whether we ni creative, whether we ni mechanic, whatever you are, your voice matters. So for me mali nimelimwa sana is when I speak out about injustice kwa society, then wase wananiambia we ni DJ, ufai unaongelea vitu za politics. Unajua ama we ni Mkristo, haufai kuongelelea vitu za politics. Unaona nikicall out government, so if the government does something bad, na naona yani hii ni mbaya, mimi ndio call out. Yeah. Alafu utaona mtu hapo either pro government anakuja ananiambia na ni kama wanakuanga wametumwa kwa WhatsApp group wanaambia limeni huyu mtu, tukaneni huyu mtu, anakuja ananiambia wewe ni Mkristo, Unaona?
Yeah.
So ufai kunaongea vitu za gava, au usifai kunaongea unajiassociate na vitu za politics. But mimi nimedecide, hii Kenya ni yetu sisi wote. Unga ya ngano ikipanda ama unga ya ugali ikipanda kwa Mkristo, itapanda kwa mtu pia si Mkristo. Itapanda kwa Muislamu, itapanda kwa Mkorino, itapanda kwa Muhindi, itapanda sisi zote. This country is for all of us. So when I'm silent when injustice is being done to someone, when injustice is being done to me, sitakuwa na nini ya call out na stand out for that. Una get? Because nilinyamaza sasa mtu mwingine anafanya kitu mbaya. So for me nakuanga hivyo. Watu wengi wananiambia ni Mkristo wewe nyamaza, stories za siasa achana nazo. Jana kuna mzee akaniambia yeye ako na degree in engineering, ako na degree, ako na masters sijui wapi. Sasa wewe DJ unaongea kama nani? Ni kama najaribu kukurudisha. Ni kama inafanya unakuwa mtu mjinga. Ni kama wewe kuwa DJ ni mtu. Actually ni kama wewe kuwa creative ni wewe ni mtu mjinga. Ni kama hujasoma. So ati ufai kuongea vitu za siasa. Politicians tu ndio wanafaa kuongea vitu za siasa. So I think hizo ni tactic wase uweka kuturudisha chini. But mimi usema ni nini? Nitukaneni tu. I think nilishazoea. It's okay.
So it's like what Octo is saying, it's systematic.
It's systematic. Even you planned, even you organized that anyone who speaks out, gonga kichwa yake arudi chini anyamaze. And for us to change this country, we need to be at a place where tuko willing kurusha kichwa juu, unalimwa, kesho tu unaamka tu unainua tu tena, unalimwa na unaendelea, watachoka. Imagine watachoka.
Okay, that's an interesting perspective. Kama watachoka, we are watching. But as we say, we need to get to a point where we speak until things are done the way they should be done, because there's a way things ought to be done. And pushing that has been someone like Allans, Ademba. You've started an initiative of TukoKadi. Just to understand, I know you've brought many young people on board, obviously, but interacting with artists or creatives, how has it been? And what is it they're saying about registering or participating in the political processes?
Wacha nianze hivi, mimi I actually love the conversation that has been in Kenya about creatives since 2024. Because since then, if you are a creative who is not standing up for the people who want to face backlash in Kenya, and we've seen that a couple of times when an artist performs at a political functions for the state, unaona the backlash that they receive. So when TukoKadi came in, ukunapata a lot of artists wanakuliza, you are doing this, how can we be part of it? How can we help you push it? How can our voices be heard, or how can our voices be of factor to whatever is happening? But now, at the same time, kuna wenye wanaku-DM, but they're afraid of wakiongea maybe gigs zitaenda the way Octo amekuwa akisema. So some of them, Octo is my friend from Kibera, but is here, Soxxy ako hapa, Rapcha ako hapa, who is about to ataingia set baadaye. But the thing is, artists actually want to be part of what is happening. It's just the fear of unga itakatika, where they get the money daily. But not all of them actually. Some of them have been vocal and they are still getting the gigs. So kuna contradiction naingia. Because at the same time, kitu imekuwa ikifanyika Kenya ni if you stand with the people will love you even much more. Angalia what has been happening to around watu kama kina Charisma. He has been out kutoka 2024. Everybody knows that Charisma will speak out when his voice is needed. When some things or atrocities happen for society, Charisma will speak out. They are still receiving the same love they had and even much better. Angalia Bien has been speaking out. Still the same love and even more love. Angalia Brida, the same. So what's happened is, the sooner the artist notices that the gigs won't go, or they have the power to control these things, I think it's much better. I'm not in a place to talk about artists because mimi sio msanii, but angalia, for example, there's a time that Toxic lyrically aliperform in State House. He almost got cancelled until akarudi, aka-apologize to the citizens, na in his recent show, alisema Ruto one time, watu kampenda the same way alikuwa nampenda, sijaona any backlash. So it's just up to you to identify, are you going to stand with the people when your voice is needed, or are you going to risk not standing with the people because unaogopa utapata these corporate gigs, which by the way siku hizi zinakam, because somebody like BN is big enough, so ni either corporate iende, but also ina beg the question, not about the small artist wenye wanajaribu kufanya ndo wanaingia nini. So ni weigh your chances. Yeah.
Finding a balance. I would want to throw a question before we come to part here. Mkiona msanii ana perform in a political rally, how does it make you feel? Anyone? Okay, wakati Toxic ali perform State House, what was your feeling? Yes, simama, introduce yourself, alafu tell us your feeling. Okay, that's good. Well in. Anyone else who felt something? Okay, Aki, get set. You can tell us, how do artists, when you reach out to artists to tell them there's a platform for creatives to share their feelings and civic educate people, what's usually the reaction like from your end?
Is it okay if she
No, just speak, then we go to her. Kidogo tu.
Okay, so I think niko na a bit of a different perspective, right? Because inakuanga very easy kuita artist sellout, right? Lakini in terms of civic engagement, there is no ecosystem for them to have information where when they are going somewhere where we think they are not supposed to be, tunaweza kuwa trust that they'll actually represent the needs of the people. You get what I'm saying? So I think inakuanga very easy to blame the artist, but kama tutawapea information, right? Because mi sina luxury ya kuita artist sellout, right? Form ya Baraza, ni to make sure that they have enough information and they are strong enough in their principles and what they believe in, that hata wakienda State House, when the rally, whoever, whichever politician, right? It's not as easy to think that wamekuwa aligned na hiyo form, but we trust them to be able to represent our needs as the people. Hapo penye wameenda.
Okay, to represent the needs. Yes, we're back to you. Introduce yourself and your feeling when you saw Toxic or any other Bahati, whoever's perform. Okay. Octo, we are coming back to you because you're the artist here. Tuko na maoni ya side mbili. One is success, which I also agree on one side, that's success. Two is sellout. Where do you draw the line as an artist?
I think your space inakuwaga very thin. Unaona juu vile tu boy amesema, kawe ni upcoming artist na unaona artist mwenye una like ana perform State House. State House nika image ya umesucceed, yani umeperform to the biggest platform, unaona. So if you look at like that, ni success. But again, issue kujani event umeenda kuperform State House ni event gani? Unajua most of the time tunaitwa State House ku clean, unaona. Sasa zenye kitu imekuwa mbaya, so nyinyi mmekuja kusafisha rada, unaona. Because even me I performed in State House before, but probably these young people don't know. In Uhuru's tena, okay, I've gone there and performed, na tulikuwa tuna launch Uwezo Fund. So Uwezo Fund was sijui kaa ndo squeeze ndo hustler fund ama nini. Every politician wigeuza jina. But for me it was important niende perform kwa hiyo Uwezo Fund, na niende na maboy wangu wa mtaa niwachanue venye wanaweza apply wa get hizo funding, wafanye bizao mtaani. So depending na structure ya hiyo event, unaona kama ni event ya campaign, like say Toxic alienda kuperform kwa event ya UDA, that's where we now say, okay, we are also a democratic country. Kama choose to support UDA, I think anaweza support UDA. Kawe ni fan wake na umeona wewe utaki support UDA, mwambie tu mimi ni fan wako lakini mimi si support UDA. Unaona? But Toxic angeenda perform kwa event nyingine agashagwa. Ama tuseme bado kuna watu watamkolao. Tuseme angeenda kuperform kwa event ya Sifuna,
bado kuna watu watamkolao.
Bado kuna watu watamkolao. So you see, for artists, unaweka artist in a very hard space. So either you ignore and don't go anywhere. Again, wase usahau, lazima to make dough. Now the only reason you're called there because actually you represent a certain demographic yenye wanataka ku reach out, unaona?
Which is selfish for the politician.
Which is selfish for the politician. But you see, if I'm a lawyer, for instance, na tuseme hiyo ndo profession yangu, because what Soxxy was saying, like also angalia creatives and artists ni kama ni wasetu fulani hawakwenda shule, waliboeka wakaona wacha waanze kuandika rhymes. Na naambia gase hakuna, ingekuwa hivyo easy tungekuwa na as many artists as we have politicians. But art is one of the most complex thing to do and is a serious profession. And actually there's more money, like we make more money as an artist than you'll ever make as a politician. That's something also they don't tell you. We make more money than lawyers. We probably at some point make more money than doctors, but because form yetu ya kumake doni entertainment inakuwa belittled. Unaona? But I hire lawyers. I pay them. Hakuna time lawyer mine ita show kanilipa do yenye nataka. Unaona? Saa hii tuseme mimi ni lawyer. Alafu nimeitwa kurepresent msi wa UDA. Inafaa nikatae?
Well, kama msanii utakataa, then ukikuwa lawyer.
Unaona kama msanii wana expect nikatae. Basi sasa nakwambia mimi ni lawyer, but mzee wa UDA kwa noma ameniita nimrepresent kwa koti. And this is my job. This is what and at the same time, let's say I'm a politician, but I'm a lawyer. You see, Orengo is a politician and he's a lawyer. There's a times here when to represent wase as a lawyer. Martha Karua might represent as a lawyer. You know? So if I can afford Martha Karua, does that mean that msanii nafaa kuwe chini ya politician? So in relationship, especially for young people, we need to really think like, kama msanii alienda kwa form ya, I think your space ya status unaona filigi inakoga tu si space poa. Hiyo event ikiweza kwa mali kwa hizi tuseme Ministry of Youth for example and sports and culture, au ndio nafaa wana organize events kaa hizo, alafu wanaita wasanii wana perform under the ministry. I think that's every artist right to perform, na hizo ni doza taxes zetu zenye inafaa tunaweza lipwa na support wasanii. But when you ukipeleka like in a UDA or like ukizi structure into political parties, hapo sasa inakuwa issue.
I think wacha niongeze tu pia kitu. I think pia reason when you complain about state house ni the leader, the current president. Imagine if huyu presi ako state house saa hii tuseme ana perform poa, watu watazusha ukienda perform state house.
I don't think, because I remember when Obama came, people were very happy to see Sauti Sol perform in Obama. So probably it might make sense in what you're doing, because even Octopizzo and Rapcha performed with the previous regime na haukupata backlash, sindio? So it's probably. Then I come to Njoki's concern, the issues that people are going through at that moment. When a DJ, umeitwa gig, because it's a gig economy. So how do you separate? Assuming umeitwa, give case in scenario, like when there was maandamano, ama when there is heat of, we have so many issues happening, but let's, mafuta imepanda, alafu umeitwa gig state house yote.
Obviously, hiyo sasa siwezi enda kufanya, sasa naenda kufanya nini hapo? So, niko in the side of the people. Go the side of the people.
But now, fine, weka DJ utafanya. But haimaanishi DJ mwingine hatafanya. So do we judge him, ama how do we then?
I think
because then anatafuta ndio kubayo mafuta.
Na mimi sita mjudge. I think mimi sita mjudge because nimekataa, because pia unajua kila mtu ako na conscience yake. Kuna mahali pia unafika unasema this sita chora hii lines. Hapa sitapita. Unaona? Sitapita hii line. So mimi sitaeza, but haimaanishi ati ule ameweza na ameenda kumake do nitamkashifu. Unajua, because maybe vile tu Octo amesema about lawyers who represent both sides. Leo na represent tu na represent tu mwingine. Career zingine watu wengi wana accounts, atafanya accounts za huyu politician, atafanya accounts za mse mwingine. You see pia as creatives, as maybe even DJs, entertainers, we can do it and disconnect from it. And I think what inafanya tusifanye labda niyo fear ya kukansoliwa. Unajua unaona hapa, but there are platforms and there are forums where I cannot do, you know, just because of my conscience. And I feel too hii si yangu. To be very honest, this is not me. So I will not do it. Okay. You know, and to be honest, time ya Uhuru hiyo miaka, by the way umeongea about mimi nili DJ kwa campaign zake hizo miaka, but conscience yangu was very clear. I believed in what I did, you know, deep down I believed in him and what he was going to do for us. And so 1, 2, 3 nilifanya, but there are also times
so msanii, because you know now today there is a msanii who believes in Ruto, right? Yeah. Chipukizi anafanya State House, yeah. For example, ni creative in a way, sindio? So he believes in what the government is doing. So is it then as an artist deciding, me na believe in this president, in their line of thinking, about their vision for the country? Because
for me I think it's simple as kama ni party politics, kama unaenda kwa gig ya politics like ya kupush candidate ama ya kupush kama artist, unasema tumeenda show na unaambiwa wewe ukisha perform umalize na kusema tuta hapo, unafaa usemezi, inafaa conscious yako useme mimi nimekuja hapa kama msanii kuperform ya wase na niinue hiyo story ya tuta ma one time mtanitoa kidogo tu na represent wase wako east side na wako east side, unaona. But kama ni event venye nimesema ni Ministry of Youth iko under government, naenda kupiga show, hakuna mtu wa Ministry of Youth ataniambia ati hii umepatiwa hii job na Ministry of Youth so lazima useme tuta. Like hiyo sasa ndio inatoka ku Sellout. So unaenda hapo deliberately ukijua nikisema hii naenda tu kupewa do na niseme hivi. But I think venye nani amesema yeye alikuwa na believe kwa unye. Mimi sikuenda hapo juu nilikuwa na believe kwa unye. Nilienda hapo kwa sababu nilikuwa na believe kwa hiyo program. Nilikuwa na believe kwa hiyo program. I didn't believe in the leadership of any of the people that were running at that time. Unaona? Juu labda nilikuwa na believe tu kwa MCA wangu. So you know, and you know that's okay. That's another thing I feel. Kuna pressure ingine tunapewa kwa lazima tuchague. Sasa si lazima. Si lazima tuchague between two bad people. Unaweza chagua MCA wako mwenye unaamini, unaweza chagua mbunge wako mwenye unaamini, because I think the power is in parliament. Unaona venye maboy waliingia parliament vitu zikachange. Wase waja understand power iko ndani ya hiyo parliament.
We will come to that conversation. Before I let Ademba release to our audience your Rapcha come through, I want you to tell me, when you've been reaching out to people, because you've been very vocal on the digital space, how are the young people reacting to these concerns? Because our new wasanii, the one you wanna people because of the same thing they are saying. There's a belief in programs, there's a belief in the person, there's also a personal belief. But from your digital spaces, what has been the experience like?
So from what the young people react to
what
dealing with such decisions? You know, honestly, when you call some artist, first of all, siku hata sio artist, niachana artist, siku hata influencers, hata watu tweeps. For example, juzi, I posted a photo tulikuwa na, everybody knows him if you are on X, it's called Book 10. So the photo we took last year, Mimi Book 10 and Willy Weba, last year wakati wa kwa Chumi campaign. And to me it was just a normal picture. So I don't know what Book 10 did the month that followed after last year. So apparently, alikuwa kwa wale watakuwa nalipwa to sanitize, okay, sala, nini vitu, hizo conversation. So mimi nimepost the picture hii wakati wa TukoKadi. And you could see the reaction. Wako nasema so mbona mnapiga picha na government propagandist? Mbona mnapiga picha na such people? Why are you even friends? So right now Willis ako hapa, si ndio? Mimi nimekuwa beshta Willis kutoka around 2024 ni kwa Baraza Riverside. So ndio ana dance hapo nyuma. So but so Willis amesema anaenda senator, si ndio? Ana join through Linda Mwananchi. Sasa nikipost picha na Willis watasema so you are working for Linda Mwananchi. Umeelewa? It's the young people who are going to say. But it's the young people who have been following me na wanajua that I've been with Willis kutoka kitambo, tumekuwa friends all along. For example, Octo is also running for Kibera MP.
Yes.
He's an artist. Ako kwa Linda Mwananchi. So watasema sasa niko Linda Mwananchi because Octopizzo is here. If Soxxy was in Linda Mwananchi, yeah. If Soxxy was in Linda Mwananchi na niko hapa and hii picha ipigwe, whoever is not in this room, hii picha ikipigwa watasema so mbona mko na all the panels is Linda Mwananchi. So at the same time as we try much to wekea watu pressure, we have to understand that they are also human beings at the end of the day. But what other people do, aside from what I do, should not come back to haunt me. What Octopizzo does in his politics, ibaki kwake. Chenye Willis anafanya huko, ibaki kwake. But the young people feel like these people, they have been believing in him. Octopizzo has to, akona 5 million followers on Instagram. So that means that close to 5 million people believe in what he does. And akiwaambia twende streets, watahenda. But sahi wakiona Octo na president, watasema so sellout. Sisi plus ye unajaribu kutuweka kwa president. So it's more of what the audience believe in. But you can't control what other people believe in at the same time. Umejua in as much as unasema Octo wewe ni msanii, ufai kuperform kwa gig. Umejua sisi tukikucancel hatutakulipia rent. Hatutataka kujua kama umelipa school fees ya watoi wako. But pia venye tu Njoki amesema, questions are moral and what do you stand for as an artist? Because I believe that sahi, it is good for an artist to be pro the people versus being against the people. We've seen over the time that artists who are pro the people are still receiving the same love, they're still receiving the same gigs, and they're still giving.
When you say pro the people, are you assuming government is not pro people? You know,
yep.
Government exists.
Okay, hii nitasema because everybody. Mimi personally, everybody anajua stand yangu.
Ademba kusema, you see like size tuko na ujama break marathon.
Yes.
Ataitwa State House, labda apewe kichele fulani, hakuna mse atamcancel.
Yes. Right, that's true.
Kuna mse huyo ni artist pia, hiyo ni art, hiyo ni sports ni pia sisi nafaa kama wewe ni artist mnoma unataka kucelebrate na gava, as long as mimi nasema as long as ujaenda hapo uanze kuambia wase sijui 2 times sijui pigia msekura, wewe piga shows, nimeitwa pale ni perform normally na perform normally na nashuka na mnipe pesa yangu niende nyumbani.
Unajua hata nimefikiria nini? Hata nimefikiria before ongee. Actually, unaona vile watu usema, ana ukiuliza watu wengi hapa, ukiitwa campaign, sema Ruto akikuwa anakuja hapa, si ndio? Uitwa campaign na kila mtu anapewa 2,200. Utaenda. Watu wengi watakwambia nitaenda nikule 2,200 lakini nitapigia mtu mwingine. Nitapigia mtu. The same thing.
But I think that's different because I'll see they're not public figures, they're not influenced.
The same pedestal wanaekea wasanii. Ni the same, unajua mse hata amini utaenda State House uimbe tu na utoke because unaenda tu kumake do.
Lakini sasa mnakumbuka mtu kama Toxic alikuwa forced kusema 2 times. If ukiangalia vizuri the video, yeye alikuwa forced. He was not to say.
How do you know he was forced? Because you see,
no, yake ilikuwa inaonekana.
So today, if I stand here and say I support 2 term or 1, 2, let's say I need the president today. There's an aura of this power that gets into your head and you say 2 term because you're in that environment. Tomorrow, if I meet Kenyan group and I'm with them, we will be moving in that and the whole environment is 1 term. So probably I wasn't forced. So are we also speaking
but for him, you see, he was leaving, akarudishwa akapewa mic aseme 2 term. Alikuwa shatoka na shuka. Akashuka akarudishwa juu.
Came online and akasema mazee mimi nilikuwa tu
na yeye mwenyewe alisema he was forced.
Unaona? Also you have to realize these guys are also young. I think also we always unajua watu kaa sisi tukimake mistakes kaa hizo, they are very deliberate because sisi tumekuwa kwa industry for over 10 years. You know all the games that these people play. You know how corporate play games. But mtuka Toxic ndo ameanza. I think that was his first official in yenye aliona kumbe system unaweza koroga watu hivi. So I think the most important thing ni ukishakuwa in that level of influence, kuna consistency yenye wase nafaa waone kwako. Watu wanajoga Octo tangu 2007 post election hadi leo, huu ndio Octo. Ajai hatuwezi guess ako hii side ama kwa ile side. Tunajoga hii ndio side yake. But kama wewe tunakuonaga tu every regime uko hapo ndani. Uko hapo ndani. Lakini bado wanataka kudanganya sio uko side yao. Kuna wasekao pia. Wataenda wapige shughuli huko hivyo alafu tena warudi ati hapana mimi niko side ya watu. So you know there's those people too. So hao wanaekwa wapi?
Zero principle.
Exactly. So you need to stand for something. Kutoka Kasipul ataenda mpaka Tanzania. Na wase kitu ka like let's say just for example June 25th. Every single artist needed to come out and say this is wrong. Anytime somebody is killed, you need to call that stuff out. It doesn't matter hata kama unafanya kwa ofisi ya gava. Hata civil servants were out complaining like this is terrible. But bado msee anataka kuclean hiyo stuff, anataka kusanitize. Ati mazee mbona walienda kwa street like so this is where now artists need to be taken like this you can't just be in the corner there keeping quiet.
Okay. When you engage with artists because it's a creative space and I know you meet many of them, what do they tell you about the country culture because of all these factors, politics and governance affairs?
Unajua, first of all, wacha ni recognize ini conversation ya Nairobi, right? Tuna assume that tuko na enough funds, tuko na enough resources. Let me give you an example. Venye tulikuwa tunatembeza Civic canvas, tumeenda Nakuru, tumeenda Kisumu, tumeenda Mombasa. Tumefika Kisumu, wase wanapiga show, alafu show ikiisha, unaona wanaanza kurudisha magita, wanarudisha mapiano, wanarudisha macameras. They don't own any of those things, right? So Kenya nilikuwa nafikiria actually venye tulikuwa tuna have conversation ni huyo mzee hata wazee wakiishia huko Ocha, wakiishia Kisumu, wakiishia Nakuru, right? Will we apply the same standards zenye tunajudge nazo hapa ikifika huko? In the sense that mzee ana piano yake lakini ni musician. Anaenda ana rent, anapiga gig yake, anarudisha. Mzee ana camera but yeye ni photographer. Anachukua kamera, ana rent, anarudisha. Anangoja for the next gig, right? Mse akikam amwambie aseme labda hata si tutam lakini akuja perform kwa show yake amekam Kisumu and it's the wrong side of politics, right? Will we apply the same standard? You know,
there is a duty of influence that you have. You see, like Octo today, as he said, you've been in the industry for years, so you owe the public. It is not documented anywhere, but I believe it comes, what they say, power comes with influence. Octo akienda gig leo, na umse aende gig, hawatapata the same. So even in terms of the money he's making, it's not the same. So I don't think it would be fair to place umsani wa huko on the same pedestal na yeye, ideally. That's my thinking. I could be wrong, I don't know what you...
I think it's as equal the same. And also, nakumbuka, nikianza kurap, it's easier for you to make it in Nairobi than in Kisumu, in Mombasa, any other part of this country, because radio stations zote ziko huku, like everything that is happening, matatu culture iko huku, juka sisi ni watu tulianza career zetu kupatia na CD kwa mat, juu radio ziko na tucheza. So msanii mwenye wako outside Nairobi work like 5 times harder. Unaona? Hapa pia kuna trust issues mob. Kupata tuseme mimi niko na hizo instruments. Nipate tu mse kamera yangu ya Sony ati wewe enda tu alafu niletee. Bro. Bali mimi natoka hata mimi mwenyewe hiyo time nyingine singerudisha. Unaona? But sasa hii naweza rudisha, unaona? So it's very different loyalty ya Nairobi na loyalty ya outside Nairobi. is very different. But me now, my question comes that I actually would like to ask you. Seme, mi nimeka show yangu, tumesema tupigi show za mapolitician, tupigi show, tuseme tumetoa hiyo, but nimeka show yangu. Ikajaa, but ama politician wamekam kama mafano. Tunawafukuza, tunafanyaje?
Okay, I think mimi mwae nifanyikia. Tulikuwa town tumeweka shughuli yetu ya TukoKadi. Tulikuwa tumepanga vizuri. The whole day everything was smooth until around saa 9. So because ilikuwa ina trend online, tuko town tunafanya nini, tunabash tukitembea. We actually even drinking kwa barabara tukitembea. So of course inge trend online. Then sisi tuko hapo town tunapiga shughuli yetu, napigwa simu ati kwa mko invite Orengo. Hey, I'm like, nani ali-invite Orengo huku? So venye tu Octo alisema, walai sisi tulikimbia tukaachia Orengo town. Sisi tulisema because we didn't plan to have you as a politician in this rally. And you as a politician coming, let me just use the term hijack what we are doing at TukoKadi, because we were looking at registering TikTokers in town. So it was on a Sunday, we were registering TikTokers. And from nowhere tunasikia that Orengo anakuja na already ashafika GPO. Sisi tulikuwa the other side of Holy Family Basilica. So GPO Holy Family Basilica is just, unajua ni karibu. So hata the person who alerted us alitufanyia favor. Because the moment Orengo angeonekana hapo, we were trying to protect ourselves as TukoKadi. We are not affiliated to any politician, and we are not going to receive any funding or support from politicians, because you know how bad that goes. First of all, TukoKadi would be affiliated to Orengo, and Orengo politician now having to have hijacked TukoKadi, sindio? And remember, tulikuwa na conversations that somebody like Rigathi Gachagua tried to do, did TukoKadi, Ruto also said TukoKadi, but none of them alikuwa ameappear in what we do. Orengo was going to be the first person to appear physically in what we do. Whatever they were doing walikuwa nafanya kivyao, and that would automatically relate to, so Orengo is funding these people, and Orengo has hijacked TukoKadi. So sisi tulitoroka, and so to the same context, kwa Octopizzo you've known to be pro people, ama you have always stand with the people. Octopizzo anafanya gigi yake, that is just public, you buy ticket unakuja, then kumbe among these people mwenye amebuy ticket ni Ruto, ungefanya aje? Ungetoka mbio?
See, me hawezi hijack stuff yangu. I think as an artist, you need to, you know, kitu naambiaga ma-artist yenye ma-artist tusahau, and I think I need you to also borrow that. Once usha realize when nani, like me ni Octo, umse ananihitaji the more than me namuhitaji. Kuna venye anaweza hijack shit yangu.
That's interesting. I want to
unaona juu so kitu
kidogo tu nataka mic iende shoot as sawa.
Acha nimalize kitu sasa. Kitu unaomba tu we come, but you will not be given any space to talk. You come as a fan. Ka VIP, ka unataka kudance ama lipia watu wengine waingie show, waenjoy show. Hatutakuwa na photo ops juu hii brand yangu sitaki ku associated na wewe, but wewe unataka kukimbia hata ulete watu wengine wachukue kadi, wewe walete tu, lakini hautapewa mic kuongea, hautaongea in representative ya event. But I think ka gig ni yangu na unataka kuja kuenjoy show, wewe kuja uenjoy show ka huko, labda wewe ni fan.
Yeye ni fan ndio maana amekuja tu asiye.
Na mimi ni Octo.
Wewe ni Octo. To the audience as Rapcha, simuoni na mtafuta macho kidogo. Rapcha wamesema pia unajielewa una jina njoo kwa set. But as Rapcha anakuja, mnafiki Ademba anasema he ran away. Octo says jijue. Kwa audience, what do you think an artist should do in such a scenario? Anza na jina tafadhali.
Okay. Kwa majina ni Dr. Maika.
So you won't run away like Ademba?
It depends. For Ademba, the person was not invited and hakuna tikiti kuweka ikuwe na Ademba was not. Because we only know kitu kwa jambo wanasema Ademba is being funded.
Okay, I hear you. Thank you very much. Anyone else? This. Okay, we can take two as we Ademba ametuhepa set. Hivyo ndio alihepa Orengo inakaa nazo ya kukimbia. He likes. Introduce yourself, please, and tell us your thinking.
Yes, my name is Civic. I am a model. Actually, I'm a software engineer. I am a speaker.
Thank you for your contribution. One more. Rapcha, sijui kama umepotea njia ama Ademba amekwambia umepotee, lakini let's hear the final one as we come back to the panel. Correction. Correction. Asante sana. Karibu sana, Rapcha, the scientist.
Asante sana.
Kuna mic hapo?
Asante.
Hapo chini.
Asante.
Unajijua. Unajua Octo amesema kitu ya maana sana. Mimi ni Octo najijua. Unajijua?
Mimi ni Rapcha. I am Rapcha, najielewa. Najielewa mbaya.
Very nice. Karibu sana.
Nimekaribia, asanteni sana. Poleni nimechelewa kidogo. But nimekuja sasa.
Wasanii pia msichelewange sana siku yenye tunaongea vitu za maana. Unaona vile Octo alifika on time.
Hiyo nime-apologize.
Forgive.
Sichelewangi every day, but today nime-apologize.
Okay.
Yeah.
Question, we'll start with you since you're the one coming in. We were just discussing about artists making decisions and being invited to political spaces.
Yeah.
From where you sit,
of
course you're an artist. Octo kauliza, Ruto akikuja kwa event yako, utamfunguza? Unajua kuna hii hits. Ama utafanya kaya, utampatia photo session. What do you do about it, and should we then cancel you from that?
I'll do exactly what another politician will do. I'll talk about it and share my stand. For instance, if the president is sitting here, I'll make sure that he knows that we don't need houses. So he can come, but I will not change my stand because he's here.
So you stand?
Yeah, we are principled people, you know, in entertainment. Everyone has principles, their own principles that they live by. So it doesn't matter who comes. Inaweza kuwa Kalonzo, inaweza kuwa William Ruto, inaweza kuwa Gachagua, inaweza kuwa any politician. So if I have a different stand from them, I'll make sure that they know. Just the same way politicians do. So when they meet at a funeral, Gachagua doesn't run away from Kalonzo. You know, unasimama mbele ya watu, unasema I don't like what you did, na yeye anasimama anasema I don't like what you did. That's democracy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Democracy. Very interesting. I was going to come back with a question of in the US, and I think Octo Liguzia, in the US, we've seen Kadi is very open in taking sides. Even media houses there, we know who ni Democrat, who ni Republican, you know, and it is okay. In our Kenyan society, at what point do we understand it is okay for someone to take a side, in the sense that mimi ni wa two term because I believe in whatever they are doing. Ama I am one term because I believe in these principles they are pushing. So do we allow that, ama do we continue pretending and sweeping it under the carpet that you can't take sides?
Yes, unatoa sasa steto ni bigi. Hatuwezi compare na huku, alafu naweza sema pia huku tuko na shida mob sana compared to the way I would say the celebrities in the state align. Because unakaa yo Kadi kusupport Trump, unapata saa zingine uko na reasons. Kama yeye alikuwa anataka papers.
Yeah.
You see? And mimi siwezi mjudge. Unaona Venezuela sasa wanachujua stateto. Ilibidi pia yeye support regime ndio apate papers zake za kuishi hapo hivyo. But you might find maybe internally yes, I believe kwa stuff zenye wao msana do. So it's very different. But you see Jay-Z amekuwa pia alikuwa na support Obama like open.
Yeah.
Okay? And people, I always feel like whenever you are supporting an underdog, watu wanakuwa tu side yako. I don't know, it's something that is unwritten law. Unaona hata huku unapata msanii kama ni underground ndio umeanza, kila mtu anakupenda. Kila mtu anakupenda, kila mtu anakusupport. Aenda ufike sasa umeanza kushika maganji, wamemtaa. Wewe kwanza siku zote unajifanya sana uliomoka. In short, nikawa sasa wanataka kusupport kiteseka. Okay, so it's a very, I think diversity ya huko na huko na feel tunijua tuja civic education haijatagetiwa. Ndio umesikia huko boy amesema kuna language ama buda wanaongea English na Kiswahili. Civic education na violate kwa language yetu. Ndio msajue like mimi na wewe tunaweza support different people na bado tubaki mabeshte.
Yeah.
Unaona? Ubo ameniuliza ningedu nini ningekuwa toxic when nilitoka kwa event ka hiyo. There's two things. Kama nilikuwa najua prior wataniambia niseme two term, singeenda hiyo event. Singe perform hiyo event. Kama waliniambia saa hizo niko on site, I think kama unanijua mimi ningewaambia tu buda siwezi sema hiyo kitu. Na hakuna mahali mtanipeleka na mtanilipa pia. Hivyo tu ndio inakuwa. Hivyo ndio inakuwa. So I think unafaa kuwa na hiyo msana joga tu cause so zingine hii kitu tulikuwa tunasema about black ball msana anasema tu Octojo msimuite hii gig. Unajua yeye anakuwa so outspoken about stuff. Na hii stuff actually goes even sometimes past political places. There's people that are being treated bad in corporate spaces. True. There's people that are being treated bad in their workspaces. Yeah. I've worked with the United Nations. There's things that they do bad in those spaces. If you can't stand up in those spaces and say, "Nyinyi mnatitama refugee vibaya," just because who ongea time ya politics, lakini hizi zingine huwezi ongea, imaanishi sawa ni mtu mzuri. So I feel hii ni kitu inafahambiwa kila msee. Ukiona hapa hivi boss wenu anawatreat vibaya, you have the right to say like mazee unatreat msee vibaya bana. Ufai treat msee hivyo. We should not only make it political. Civic is a cut across how people are living in a civilized world.
Soxxy, history of civic education as a creative, because we are saying it's not, we're not setting it out, ama hatuileti kwa watu, like hatujaileta kwa watu vizuri. And he had raised something about, have we educated artists, creatives? From your spaces, do you feel artists wakona enough knowledge pia juu? Maybe tunaongelea kitu yenye watu wenye tunaongelea hata pia hawaelewi.
I think sisi wote tunapatia kuplay kwa hii system yote. Sidhani kuna time civic education mission. Ni kitu continuous. Vile, wacha nige example, mi nilichukua Kadi hizo miaka because ni parent wangu aliniambia chukua Kadi. na aliniambia chukua kadi ndio tupigie ule mtu anataka kura. Sisi tuko watano humo, ndio watano. So alikuwa anajua ako na kura 5 plus za madha na mbuyu. So hii nyumba iko na kura 7. Na I think wazae hivyo ndio walikuwa wanajimobilize kwa nyumba. But si kwa hata najua kuvote nini. Mimi nilikuwa najua tu ni kwenda kupiga kura tu hivyo, because nimeambiwa pigia nani kura, mimi naenda napiga kura. So over time, over the years ndio nimekam kudiscover, hapana. Hii napigia wase mbuyu anataka, lakini mimi hawanisaidii. Eventually nakam kucomplain baadaye, but siwezi complain sababu nilipigia huyu mtu kura. So I think even as we continue with this conversation, it is a gradual conversation, because kuna dynamics mingi sana. Kwanza, one of the things that I feel watu wengi hawajui, because right now ukiuliza watu wengi kwa nini uko Kadi, watakuambia tutoweka songo.
Yeah.
Una get? Hiyo ndio main. But unasahau kuna MCA huku chini. Who's the closest kwako?
Yeah.
Unajua grassroots kabisa, huyo ndio mtu closest kwako. Maybe hata hujui anafanyanga job gani, hujui roles za MCA ni nini, hujui roles za senator ni nini, hujui roles za governor ni nini. So eventually you cannot hold that person to account if you do not know what their role is.
Yeah.
Una get? Wewe ulipiga tu kura because uliambiwa piga kura, na labda ulipigia tu pale juu president, lakini huku chini we hauko unajua kazi yao, huko unajua ni nani, so ulipiga tu kura because useme tu niko Kadi nilipiga kura. So I think it's important to invest time for us to learn basic things like the power of this vote, from grassroots all the way to the president, because I think right now tuna focus sana na president, kila mtu anaongea about how to change pale juu, but huku chini mahali mtu anakusaidia nyumbani kwako, unajua next door hayuko ama haufikiri about here. But let me just also add something about politics in US, which I also find very strange here in Kenya. Democrats ni Democrats, Republicans ni Republicans. Values za Democrats na Republicans ni extremely different. Hauwezi kuwa Democrat leo kesho uko Republican. Kama vile leo naweza vai na ODM alafu nikishashinda niruke niingie UDA, haiwezi happen. It is very rare. Mimi ningewish Kenya tungefika place value system, even politics zetu ziko driven na values, you know, even through our leaders and through the things that they stand for, so that unajua huyu mali na rusha hii kura, huyu MCA na rushia kura, sitampigia kura alafu kesho tena ashikane na msee change value system yake, anze kushikana na mtu mwingine
ama pia hakuwa na value,
ama hakuwa na value. Actually watu wengi sana, politicians wengi I think sahi ni hawana values. Maybe unataka kuingia tu sababu unataka kuingia umekdo, it's your time to eat, ukule, ukishamaliza utoke uendelee. It's not about the people, it's about yourself.
Pretty sad. Rapcha, you've been consistent in what you've done, and generally what they say, art is a reflection of society. In Kenyan society, and I'll give a scenario where I think all of us remember the story of the drama festivals and kids who are being told not to perform because kulikuwa na kitu yenye haisit right in the government. When you see such things happening, then how do we shift this conversation? Because you see, it's creatives who should speak first. So while we vocal enough as creatives to ensure our wako high schools because they're coming to join us. Most of these are university. They're going through the same. That art is respected, such that hata ikifika on national platforms, it is respected as a self-expression of what we are going through.
I didn't answer your question.
Do you feel as artists, the ones, especially the ones that have been there long enough, are speaking out enough to ensure these kids who are being suppressed, because that is suppression, that they are allowed and society understands? They're not acting in some, universe. They're in the country. So it is a reflection of what is going on, and it is okay for people to express in artistic ways.
I feel like artistic freedom is limited in Kenya, because in order for an artist to be free, ile kitu yenye muuliza right now about entertainers in America and entertainers in Kenya, without financial freedom, you're handicapped. For instance, mimi kama rapture scientist, I am not financially free. So if someone like Gachagua comes with maybe 50 million, how many artists do you think are going to say no to that money? You know? I can say no as rapture, no, but we are all not free. So as long as entertainers are not free, they will always be used, they will always be suppressed. Even the entertainers who are up there, they might have a voice, but they are not free. Because the reason why we are in this business of sharing our thoughts is because everyone wants to be free. You want to be free, whatever you can say. For instance, kama Octo, if he wants to describe Kibera, he's free to use whatever words he wants. Me, I'm free to do whatever I want. So I should have financial freedom. So the systems in countries like America, they favor entertainers. So I can say no to Ruto and still make money as an entertainer. But in Kenya, you find that it's a very controlled environment. So once mtu kama mimi Rapcha nimesema Ruto must go, and this is nonsense. So you'll find that they will deny me that financial freedom. They will block my ways, they will do everything. So I'll just be like any other entertainer. So a lot of entertainers in Kenya are not free, and that's a big thing when it comes to decision making. Because in order for us to have democracy, we have to be free. Because freedom is the foundation of democracy. Even in the house, when you have a wife and she's free to say what she wants, then it's going to be a good home. But you have a wife who, there are things she can say and things she can't say. So there's no freedom.
So is our democracy a fallacy?
Yes, our democracy is a fallacy. I have to say so. Our democracy is a fallacy. Because even the businessmen are not free. If you talk to businessmen, if you go, the small businessmen, they are not free. They can't do anything, they are handicapped. Because if you have free businessmen, you have free entertainers. Because this business we do, we are leaders. We are leaders. We are leaders in our own field, in our own rights. We have political leaders, we have religious leaders, and then we have us who are cultural and social leaders. So in order for you to be a leader, you have to be free. So most entertainers, I will not judge and say that they don't have the power to say what they want, but I will say that freedom is one of the most important things when it comes to entertainment and you being able to express yourself.
Okay, that's a sad reality, so to say. But I want to understand from the conversations you've been having, and at least we have artists who, share the realities of kwa ground with Tuko. When you hear certain, I'm sure you've heard it before, what conversations and policies then are you pushing? Because Baraza is a space for creatives. So what are these conversations that can change these policies such that then artists enjoy freedom?
I mean, I agree with what Rapcha is saying, because freedom is, it's kind of a spectrum, right? It depends on who you're comparing with, right? But also, kuna hiyo social freedom that is talking about, kuna hiyo financial freedom, and at Baraza, what we usually do need to upload some of the bills that are coming up, right? In the county, and appear on the national level. Sorry. Some of them do affect the artists, right? Tumekuwa na ile Kekobo juzi, right? Kufanya civic participation, show artists what it's about, what it involves, gathering guys in one place, seeing the tunaenda tunasoma, tuna distill the information that's important to creatives, alafu tuna have town halls where tuna explain what the bill is talking about, the important bits, what affects artists, right? And what we can do in terms of a response, right? Kutuma response to Parliament. So that's part of what we do at Baraza, right? So aside from hizi za Kekobo, kuna zenye zina affect kila mtu, finance bill ita come up, right? What are some of the things that we are doing to prepare for that, right? So we do have teams that kind of monitor activity that's happening on the county scale and also on the national level, right? Just to see what is going to affect not only creatives, but everyone across the country. Because unajua kitu iki affect kila mtu, pia by virtue of creatives being citizens of our country, they will be affected, right? Yeah.
Okay, interesting, and I think we need to create more of that. Before I let Soxxy go, because we have Senator Chrystal Asige with us in the house and she'll be joining us, I want you to tell us, when we say everything is political, how as artists do we do with that statement?
I think for us is to realize that we live in a political space. So it depends on us whether we give that power to someone to make the decisions for us, or we take back the power. Taking back the power is don't be afraid to speak out, don't be afraid to create, don't be afraid to do what you need to do with the power you have to cause change in this country. And that is positive change. So because we live in a political world, don't be afraid to speak out, don't be afraid to use what you have, the tool that you have, to cause positive change and to call those ones in leadership out. Okay. Yes, usiogope,
fear not, do not even fear. I want to come back to, thank you very much, Soxxy, for being here. Karibu sana, Senator Chrystal will be welcoming you on stage after miking, but before that, I don't know Mikey Kwapi, I want to get response from the audience. If today, Octo, let me use the example of Octo because he's here. Octo is running for MP Kibera, na tumemwona na Linda Mwananchi, so automatically we assume that's the side you're taking in terms of political parties. How many of us are members of any political party? Okay, before they sort, how do you decide as an artist? Because you see now, Soxxy has spoken of not being afraid in getting in these spaces. How did you sit and decide that despite whatever might happen with me announcing, number one, I'm running for Kibera as MP. Number two, why am I running? And three, how do I then decide this is the right party, despite ile feedback itakuja? Because today, if you say you're running with UDA, there are people who will critique you. If you say it's Linda Mwananchi, the same. Linda Ground, the same. So how do you go navigate that?
I think venye tu Soxxy amesema inafaa you have to be principled, you have to have values, and you know you have to go the side that your values align with. So personally, I'm a mini member of ODM, okay, for the longest time.
ODM ya Linda Mwananchi kwa sasa?
ODM ya baba, ODM oriji, bado ODM ni moja tu. Sasa hiyo ndo party nimekuwa ndani for a while because I believed kwa values za baba zenye alikuwa akiona kunaanza kuchomeka sana anarudi kwa wase. Anasema nyinyi mnaonaje tu? Mimi na watu wangu hapa tumefikiria hivi lakini nyinyi mnaonaje? You always had to go back to the people. Na sijaiona today kwa illustration where tunaona saa hii that ODM iko pro government, yani like sijaiona hata time yenye baba alikuwa prime bado alikuwa side ya wase, yenda alikuwa representative wa side ya wase hapo hivyo. So how did I choose to be on this side? Fortunately I had a chance to hang with both sides of ODM, okay? So I went to a few rallies, Linda Ground, zenye walikuwa nazo Kibera. So nikaona unaendaga, mimi napenda, I'm taking this actually as thesis. For me it's really important that young people, when you choose to go run for a seat, it should not always just be like lazima nikuwe kama wasema lazima. I take it as thesis. So nataka ku understand, like if this was a paper that I was doing in school, points zangu zinatoka wapi, na kwa hizi points values zangu ziko represented. So the other function was more about like vile tu tunasema wewe simama hapo unapatiwa like 30 seconds. You know there's nothing you can say in 30 seconds unless you're saying your name. Mimi naitwa Octo, patiana mic. Na ni mabuda tu hata hawezi simama for 30 minutes. Unaona? Ukianza kuongea shengo unaona wewe ni muizi. Unaona? Like they don't look at it as a language when unaweza kwa tu unaongea Kijaka, Kikamba, unaongea sheng mbele ya mabuda, wewe ni mwizi, or you don't know anything about politics just because you speak sheng. So I feel like this part I align na vitu venye mimi niko na vitu na hii mtaa yetu iko full of young people, mpaka wamadhe wetu mtaani wanaongea sheng hadi kejani. Okay, si wote hatuwezi ongea language yenu. Nikaenda kwa hii function nyingine ya Linda Mwananchi, they are youthful. Unajua wao sema pia si ati si youth manyisi they are youthful. Youthful is a could be a group of people that they are thinking young, they are thinking future, they are thinking now, and they understand things that we are going through today. Now wako open kutupatia spaces ya kuji-express, and I think that's the most important thing, is that where are the spaces that we can participate na mtusikie vizuri na msikie kenye tuna table out, na ndio mtu judge from that point of view na bila uoga, because another thing is that you can go the other side unaambia okay, hapa utakuwa tunaweza kubalia ukue, but this is what you have to say. Yeah, like we have to give you your talking points. You can't speak out of this nini. But you see this side, mimi naweza amka niseme Kenya nataka, because mimi naongea na wase, siongei na venye wamesema ukiamka sema tu push mimi, ni push mimi ndio una push na upush rais useme atafanya hivi. Na hiyo uoga, tukirudi Kenya Rapcha alikuwa anasema ni hatuna ile freedom. I don't feel like hatuna freedom. Ni uoga, tuko na freedom. Tuko na freedom because ukicompare era ya Sai na era ya Moi, kuna ngoma zenye tunatoa Sai ungetoa time ya Moi unapotea tu. Mimi mtu ngoma inaitwa June 25th, I don't know how wasa ngapi wameiona, na tulishoot kila kitu ilikuwa time ya maandamano tukiingia hadi parliament. Niko sure in another ingekuwa time ya Moi saa hizi ingekuwa
very true actually.
Yeah, unaona. So as much as kuna hii freedom ya finance yenye nasema, which is poverty is our biggest nini. Nasemaga poverty is the biggest child ama the successful child wa inaitwaje capitalism. Hiyo ndo success story yake. Success story ya capitalism ni poverty. Na poverty kitoka, capitalism yes exist. Unaona? So ni uoga. Unaona venye tulipoteza uoga June 25th, nini ilifanyika? Uliona gani ilifanyika? Tulipoteza uoga. Kuna venye wase 4 kwa parliament wanaweza kukopesha wase 50M. So hiyo mentality ya kuambia wase acheni uoga. Sasa ni wanaume kasi hizi wako na mgombili. Wako na security. Pia sisi tutatoa security. Kuna maboyo wako ready kupata security for free mtaani just because wana believe kwa values zako. So we are not, I think nasemaga we are not over, yani haja kushinda in numbers, wako more organized.
They're more organized than we are. And I remember that statement, when you lose the fear, they lose their power. Sindio? Acha niulize swali moja from the audience as we come to Senator Chrystal, karibu sana.
Thanks.
We have Octopizzo on set.
Yes.
The artist. We have Rapcha, the scientist. And we have the curator of this amazing project by Baraza Media. So, and my name is Sarah.
I know.
We are here to ensure we can run this conversation.
Yeah.
You came in late, but you're welcome. And
Thanks.
we have an amazing audience. I think they can clap so she can know people with us. So, so karibu sana. We will come to you with a question of policy, but before we come to you, I want to ask from the audience, who among us feels it is right for young people? It is right for young people like Octo, Willis, I don't know if he's still here, to run for political seats and why? Anyone? Aya, tunataka tu wazae waendelee kulead. There's a hand up and up. You can stand up, introduce yourself. So it's nice. Welcome back.
The biggest people icon in Kenya. So,
nice. Hiyo ndio vile tunataka.
Yeah. So for me, I feel na vile nyoma wapatiwe chance. Wenyewe tumerudia na wazee sana, wengine tunaona kazi, wengine hatuoni. Sasa tupatie vijana, sasa tunataka gani?
Nice. Next question, naona mkono huko nyuma, but your question will be, ni poa tunapatia vijana, lakini 2022 pia tulipea vijana kadhaa. Jalas is one of them because he's a creative. Have we felt the impact of this young leadership in parliament? And should we then trust them based on the previous ones? Karibu sana. So it's service. We can take one more behind there, then we come at the front. But introduce yourself first and tell us your feeling. Thank you very much. Yes, the guy in the t-shirts at the back. Kuna mtu amewapea motivation suddenly, but ni poa.
It's formal.
Correction. They lose their power. Thank you very much. Totally appreciate it. We will come back to the audience. Asanteni sana. Thank you very much. I'll come to you, Chrystal. Umesikia, if we lose our fear, you people lose your power. As a young leader, do you feel that mmefanya enough? Because we entrusted you as young people that when we send these people to parliament because they are young, they'll have an impact. In this particular parliament, do you feel you people in both houses have done enough?
Let me help you. Okay, cool. Thank you. Mic check, 1, 2. Good. Thanks a lot, everyone. Thanks a lot for inviting me. I appreciate what you guys are up to, what you're discussing. It's really important. And to the question that has been posed, have we done enough? Well, from the mood of the country, it's clear that we have not done enough. And that cannot be changed or altered or talked out of. It's just a fact that if the country says you've not done enough, then you haven't done enough. It doesn't matter what your leaders or parliament or the executive or judiciary will say, it will be evident from the mood of the country. As for me personally, I think that I have done my utmost. I think that what I was sent to parliament to do, I have done. I think that because of my track record, people can look at me and believe, and not just believe because I'm saying it, but through my actions, they can see that this person is working with integrity. This person has been honest. This person has spoken up when it was time and there was a need to speak up. So the reason that I was sent to parliament by Raila Odinga, all of you know that I'm nominated by ODM, is the thing that I've gone there to do. He told me to go and stand up for the rights of women and youth and persons with disabilities. And those are the 3 things I've been focused on doing. In fact, I believe that I'm not a politician. I'm here as a public servant. I'm here as a leader. People ask me, how did you get into politics? How did you become a politician? And I say, I don't think I'm a politician. I think I'm a leader. And those 2 things are different for me. In terms of the conversation that's also going on, I feel that young people, especially artists, because I'm also an artist, I'm still active. Actually, I released music just this year. As an artist and as an activist and as a leader now in the Senate, I use all 3 of my talents, my skills, my assignment that God gave me to propel the interests of those who I'm representing forward. So what is the place of youth in leadership? I think there's a huge place for youth in leadership. Not only because you're youth. I also don't want to propel this idea that just because you're 20-something, you ought to be given a carte blanche. I think that everyone needs to prove themselves. And youth have a bigger opportunity to be accepted or to be supported than those maybe of past generations, those who have been there for 30 and 40 and plus years. I think that opportunity is right now for you guys, for all of us actually. Another thing that I think is important for you to understand is something that I have also been doing, Sarah, which is in all that I'm doing, I am trying to redefine the politician. That's actually my ultimate goal. To redefine the politician.
In what way?
In terms of what is when you look at a politician in Kenya, what do you usually think? You think they're old. The stereotypes is what I mean. They're older, they're from dynasty, they knew someone who knew someone who knew someone, they have money, a big machinery behind them, they have connections, corruption, all these things that people stereotypically think about politicians in Kenya. But I believe that my job, and actually what I'm doing every single day, is trying to redefine the politician. trying to redefine politics. Because if I'm able to be a different kind of a leader, then eventually, if somebody else does the same and somebody else also thinks the same and somebody else is also working towards the same, eventually we will redefine politics in the country.
Okay, that's interesting.
That's actually what I'm trying to do. And I also want to just quickly add before you go, is think of someone like Trump. I know people have polarizing opinions on him, but Trump was an entertainer. And he moved very seamlessly into politics. Sindio?
Yes.
Mamdani, the current mayor of New York, a rapper from here, Uganda. Also a Muslim. Correct.
Yes.
Somehow found a way to become popular and turn his popularity into a seat, into a seat as a mayor of New York. Very difficult city to become elected in.
Yeah.
So these people, even around the way in Uganda, not Bonnie, my bad. Bobby, thank you. He's also doing the same. So I think that it's really, there are blueprints that have been set for us as young people, as people in entertainment, to be able to move from one to the other. And I think all that there needs for all of us to have is, number one, a conviction. You need to have strong conviction. Because nakwambia ukiingia huko ndani, there'll be a lot of temptations, a lot of threats, a lot of bribing, a lot of things put over your head to make you change your mind or to move in a certain direction. There'll be a lot of that, and your integrity will be tested. Every day it will be tested. So if you know, kama unakaa hapo na unajua, kuna kabizna fulani ambayo ulifanya hivi, 1, 2, 1, 2, one time, that thing will come back to haunt you if you end up in a position of power. If you know that there's something in your past or something that you're doing currently that can hinder your pathway to leadership, that is being monitored by those who monitor those kinds of things. Sitaki kuwataja. And those things, wacha niachie tu hapo mnajua. So don't think that these things will not come back to follow you. They will. And they will haunt you at the most important time when you have to make the most important decision for Kenyans at large. That's when utapigiwa simu.
Wanatoa file.
Correct. Utafungua file yako akakwambia, okay, this time in 2017, so wakumbuka, haya, vote hivi. So I'm glad that there are some young people, many young people who at least understand that from this age, because those who have gone before us hawakuelewa hizo mambo. But you guys have an opportunity to start with a clean slate, the way I have done. I have tried to do. And there is absolutely a pathway for young people to get into leadership if you're integrous, if you're creative, if you understand, if you study politics or leadership in general. I think that as a musician, let me compare. Being a musician and being a leader they have similarities. Number one, you have to study music. I have to study music all the time. Understand what are the trends that are going on. Understand the actual, like the science of music. You know, the formula, what makes a hit? What makes a pop song? What is a quintessential country song? Hip hop, how does it work? Who are the players in hip hop? Things like that. You study music to become a better musician. So you must study leadership if you want to become a better leader. It's the same. Also performance. There's a lot of performance in politics. Performative, of
course.
It's very performative. Meaning you are parliament. I don't just say, Mr. Speaker, I object to. That's performing. It's not. It calls for a different part of who you are, which is, if you already are a performer, then you have it on tap already. So those kinds of things. It also requires you to learn your scripts, or learn your lyrics, or learn all of the melodies in the song. You know, before you get on that stage, you must practice. Unapiga tizi. Same thing in parliament. Before you get on that stage, before you get on the microphone, you're given by the speaker, you must have read your
standing orders.
Correct. You must. You can't go there lakisha atunapambana na mtu kama Khalwale, and you're going there at hivi. Unapambana na mtu kama whoever, and you're just Sifuna. Alafu you think you're just going to get away with things without actually knowing your stuff. So there's similar things that you have to move, similar traits that you can use as an artist or an entertainer and use it in leadership. And of course, people. You must understand your audience. Lazima uelewe audience yako. just like a panelist, Rapcha and Octo have said, you must understand who you're talking to. If when you go to Ngwaro, that is one kind of audience, just like when you perform at a Safaricom event, you won't do the same thing as if you're performing at school, for example.
Yeah.
So these kinds of things are completely transferable, and I'm confident that more young people, those of you in this room, will be able to move away from fear and take back that power.
Fantastic, great. Thank you very much for the highlights. I want to believe Willis and Octo, you're taking notes. You're the guys that are on that panel beating space. I would want to ask you, Rapcha, picking from where the senator has left it, where when we lose our fear, are you running for any political seats?
No, I am not a politician. I'm just an entertainer.
But you can be a leader.
Well, that's a leader.
I'm a social leader. I will bring you back to the question of young leadership. When it comes to youth and leadership, I would ask you a question. If you go to a primary school, you enter into a classroom, you're going to find a prefect.
Yes.
That is a leader. He's 7 years old, but he's a leader. If you go to Madare Valley right now, where I come from, you're going to find a group. It's called a youth group. It's 15-year-old, 16-year-old kids. They have a chairman, they have a treasurer, they have a secretary. So we have leaders everywhere. It doesn't matter the age. We have leaders everywhere. Everywhere we have leaders. So ask your question. Okay. I just wanted to touch on the young leadership.
You are clarifying on the leadership. The question I was going to ask is when you look at what people like Octo and Raburu have decided to take up the position and the backlash they get from maybe deciding, let me use Lina Mwananchi because that is what we have for now for them. Yeah. Or I don't know who has declared they are running on UDA and they got backlash, MCJC. Yeah. So when you see such things, then how do we as a people understand it is okay, this person is an artist, so they are my icon in a way, but it is okay for them to take a stand on something. Yeah. Without necessarily me feeling the stand they are taking does not work for me. Yes. Because it's their life then.
I would say that politics, the way I know it, this is just my personal opinion. I'm not saying it's a fact. Politics, the way I know it, has a slightly different audience. The same people, Kenyan, but a slightly different audience from people who follow politics. For instance, I follow politics. I will listen to your stand and make a decision based on what you say. But now when you're an entertainer, I'm going to look at you from the point of I'm your fan. You know, I love you the way you are, without adding any other thing. So if you bring in issues of politics and political party, and now I'm a member of another political party, then I'm going to have a problem. So entertainers always have that problem with transition, because a lot of entertainers, I feel that they don't make it very clear. They don't make it very clear that I'm crossing over to another line of business, but I'm still going to be entertaining people. A lot of them, they like sitting on the fence. You see them running around, maybe with politicians. But if you make a stand, everyone here is an adult. All these young people, they have their own mind. If I say rapture scientist, sasa mimi biashara ya comedy nimechorea, I'm going to run for office, and I don't want my words to be confused with the words of an entertainer. I don't want when I do something, muende ku attack other comedians, because that's what happens. If I say something stupid, the entire country goes to attack other comedians, because Rapcha is a comedian and he's a politician at the same time. So it is very good for entertainers who are going into these positions to be absolutely clear, this is what I do. Nikisema, for instance, kuna Linda Mwananchi, kuna UDA, kuna Linda Ground. Mimi nikitaka kutoka kwa comedy sahi, I'm going to say, this is where I am. Whatever I say, because the way I understand politics, you have to have a vehicle, which is a political party. A political party, Octo ana political party sahi, is going to have to join a team. And these members of this team, maybe you don't like them. That is the truth. Maybe unaweza angalia pale uone, okay, we have, wacha nipatie an example na United Opposition. We have Kalonzo, we have Matiang'i, we have Gachagua, we have Malwa, we have all these guys. So if Octo joins that team, and I don't like that team, then I am going to have a slight problem. I like Octo, but I am going to have like a slight problem. That's how the general public are going to view. So wanakuwa na shida sana moving from the mind that this is an entertainer, like Octo is a rapper, but he's also a leader. He's leading his team. Maybe he has a studio, he has a team. That team has a manager. We have someone at the gate security. We have a receptionist. That is a team. And based on how he has gauged his leadership, he feels that he can take it a notch higher. So the regular people, the fans of music, because I will put them the fans of music, because the fans of music are, the demographic is very young people, teenagers all the way to around 24. Most of them are just connected to the music part of his life. They are not connected to the politics part of his life. And I feel like even the media doesn't do a very good job to talk to people like Octopizzo. Forget about the music, now we talk about political policies. What is in your heart, Where have you led? For instance, if I wanted to run for office, I will give my background as a young leader, because I was an SG of a youth group when I was younger, I used to write minutes, I used to do all those things. I was a secretary. So I would like someone when they talk to me, for example, tukiongea na Octo, if I'm on Citizen TV, I completely forget the part where Octopizzo is a rapper. But even the people who talk to these entertainers, they bring in that entertainment aspect.
But it's very hard to let go. And also maybe...
But we have to...
Maybe you want to sing.
No. Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. Uhuru Kenyatta is a businessman. Yeah. How comes when they talk to Uhuru Kenyatta, they don't talk about his business? They just talk about his politics. Because that's how they view Uhuru Kenyatta. First as a politician, and then as a businessman. That's how we should view Octopizzo, Willis, MC Jesse. We put them on the test with their politics. And then the people who are watching, they can be able now to differentiate wajue ni aje manzejo huyu chali ni rapper, but he has very interesting policies that if we give him an opportunity to lead us, he'll be able to take up that role and leave this rapping to another young Kenyan.
Interesting. I don't know what Octo feels about that as the person here being discussed because you're with us.
I think your question, Adasai, every time when we make like public statements on something, unapata tu msana kuambia ati penda tu rap
rudi kwa rap. Rudi kwa comedy.
Unajua nini about politics and about leadership. And when the two Rapcha amesema, I think it's important comedian akiblanda wadil nayo on a personal level. Ni yeye ameblanda, aja si ma comedian wote wameblanda. Rapper akiblanda, msanii mwingine akiblanda, mmesema wasanii wamekuwa huko like watu wasolangato kuja waseme sisi Jalasa hajafanya hii na hii na hii na alisema atafanya. So yezi kwa ati Jalasa si rapper. Sasa mbona mimi niko compared na Jalasa si rapper. I don't think we've ever had a rapper actually in parliament in this country. That aside, when the two Rapcha amesema, why don't like the media? Why don't you look at a person's track record, background, like what have you done besides being a dope artist? What have you been doing in your community? Venye ule boy alisema pale wa correction. Kuna community leaders wengi. I started my organization in 2015, the Octopizzo Foundation. I'm the founder and executive director. This is something that I studied in school too. It's not just because that nilianza juu naona nianze. Nilianza because niko na community yangu. Watukaa sisi wenye tulikuwa tumemada form for na tukoshua tuwezi enda uni. Hakukuwa na space yetu. Yani ulikuwa ukimaliza form 4 ukae tu mtaani ucheze ball ama ujaribu sanii ama ujaribu kitu kingine ama uende ocha. Hizo tu ndo zilikuwa the only things we could do. So nikasema mbona nisifungue organization yenye ina target hii crowd ya wase wamemaliza form 4, wamemaliza class 8. It doesn't mean they didn't want to go to school further. They just didn't have, their parents couldn't afford to take them for further studies. But how can we mold them to serve this community with the little they have? I've been running this foundation since then until now. It's almost 10 years. I don't just apply for grants randomly. Actually, the money I make in music, when you so chukua 10% wanapeleka church, me 10% napeleka kwa community. Yeah. So msazi sema ati walami ndo wanapatia gaokto do. Mlami akuja hapa aseme alinipea do school gani. Unaona? So I think when you believe in people, hiyo ndio kitu nimelearn. Msali believe in me nikianza alinipatia strength fulani sijai understand. When you believe in somebody that si bro yako, si beshte yako, like umetokea tu na wewe ukamwambia bro unaweza fanya hiki. Tuko unacheza ball. Cheza ball mpaka uomoke. Kama unachoma mahindi, choma mahindi hadi uomoke. Don't belittle anything. Wewe sema ati hii kuchoma mahindi huwezi fanya nayo kitu. Najua Buda alikuwa na shona tu viatu pale mtaani, amefundisha watu wake hadi uninana shona vitu za 30 bob, 20 bob, but because community na believe hiyo ndio job yake, tuna support hiyo business yake. So the same way like there's the school background of us, because in parliament at least you need to have some level of education. I study social impact, and as a leader, if the first goal is to create a positive impact in your community. That's a side. I study leadership, organizing and action, because if you can't organize and bring people together, you can't lead. So nobody, even in Rapcha nasema, nobody ever asked questions about this. Wanasema gatu una rap tu. When now you tell them, okay, now let's talk about that rap music. Wewe ngoma gani umesikia? Ya Octo ukasema, hapa jo umerap. Hapo umerap politics zingine serious bana, umerap vitu serious. Hapo ulikuwa unamaanisha nini? Kuna Toboa, kuna Stito Mboya, kuna Voices of Kibera, kuna June 25th. Nobody ever asked like, hey, in these topics they were very political. What was your thought process? Just the way Chrystal amesema. For music, it's like science. Ukitaka kumeka hit song, lazima ukae chini like target audience yangu ya hit song ni nani. Ukitaka kumeka ngoma political yenye unajua it might not make it to the commercial radio, but still there's a niche audience that want to listen to that type of music. How do I approach it? It's a whole science. You can't just go in the studio and once rap. Then everybody of us will be doing it. So I think it's fair wase wakuwe judged individually. And venye msa amesema hapa hivi, this is not old versus young. But hata kijani, buda wako anakupeleka shule na unafika tu 18 hivi unaambia wewe ndio uko na nyumba yako na uanze kusaidia wazazi. Sasa sisi tutasaidia wazazi siku gani? Kama wazazi bado hawataki kutupatia chance ya kuwasaidia. Unaona? Msa amesema hapa, wote ni watu wa KANU, and it's true. Mse kama amekuwa parliament for 17 years. What is it that he wants to change today that he couldn't change in 17 years?
Actually nothing, if you think about it.
So, new year, new problems, new generation. 17 years, these young people are not as educated as they're educated now. Hatukuwa na social media. Tulikuwa tunadanganywa tu. Unaweza kuata huko wote unaambiwa, Nairobi kunachomeka. Na una believe tu, Nairobi kunachomeka. Jua kuna malumu. Saa hii kitu ina happen New York, unajua saa hii. Hii ina happen. Kitu ina happen Kitui, unajua hapa. Kuna msana kudanganya. So the issue has come like, it's not even old versus young. It's that young wameanza question. Young people have started questioning like, unatudanganya.
And that's amazing.
And that's...
Because we have to keep questioning.
Exactly.
And with the questioning, I want us to take final comments from our audience.
Can
At least 3 people. I'm coming to you before the audience who are when I mic.
There's something on that same topic looking at kuongeza.
I'm coming to you actually. I just want anyone to be mic'd that is ready to tell us the vision of Kenya they have, the vision of a good Kenya that they have. Chrystal, kuna mtu hapa as senator anaongea. Yes, make your point before they're mic'd.
Oh, right. I wanted to chime in kwa hii conversation. Has been asked, how come if Uhuru was a businessman, is a businessman, but when he goes to interviews, people focus on his politics. I think maybe that is an example that is a bit unfair because he's from a family of politicians, and so when they hear Kenyatta, immediately they think politics. But I think that issue, there are three things. Number one, visibility. I was just telling Willie, just before I sat here, that when I was starting in music, I was told that, Chrystal, music is a formula, okay? And you can sit in studio and do the best song and do absolutely everything that you can to make it amazing. But if you don't have the marketing plan after that, it will go nowhere. It's 20% in the studio, but 80% of the work is what will get it out there. That's what I was told. Okay. So I will take the same example and put it into politics or leadership. If I do amazing work in the background, in my community, that is 20% of what I'm supposed to do. 80% will be talking about it everywhere that I absolutely can, so that people can get used to the fact that actually Chrystal is not just a disability advocate or whatever advocate, she's also this and this and this and this. Or she's not just a musician, but she's also that and that and that and that. So I think visibility is one thing that we, maybe as creatives, we need to work on if we want to go into leadership. Number two is the art of communication. We are all artists, and therefore you would think that sisi the magwiji wa communication, because we need to communicate with all of our arts, whether you're a photographer, a poet, a musician, a rapper, a sculptor, whatever, you're supposed to communicate something through what you're creating, right? Yeah. So the art of communication is very important in leadership, because if you go and you don't know how to speak about what you've been doing, to talk about your achievements, to lay them on the table for every Kenyan to see in a simple way that they can all understand, mass appeal, nasema mass appeal, then of course you will continue to find it difficult to translate or move from one career or one area that you've been good at, one skill, to the next. I am actually an activist. I don't know if you guys don't know that I used to be in the board of Amnesty International Kenya. Nilikuwa nakauka board. And in fact, there was a time that Ademba was one of our volunteers. So I'm an activist and an artist first. And I was able to move the goalposts, pole, to the point where someone told me in my party, people tell me, Asige, you're really good at talking. When you talk about disability, you're so good at you articulate X, Y, Z. Hey, boo, have you thought about going into politics? I was like, I'm being creative, too. So you need to be able to understand and to get a hang of the art of communication, because that is what politicians use all the time to convince people, to influence people. It's communication, and we as creatives are really good at that. And the last thing I would say that is important for the question of how does somebody move from seeing me as an artist to seeing me as a leader? I think the next and the last thing I would say is being able to overlap. So be so good at what you're doing and have hints of leadership in you. So wherever you're going to do music, like has been said, if you have a foundation, talk about it before you do some branding, before you do whatever it is that you're doing on stage, performing or showing, exhibiting your art, whatever it is. Try and have that overlap so that it's not so shocking when you move from being an artist and then kesho unaangusha announcement, I'm running for this. People will be like, what? But the reason why we like you is because you make us escape from the realities of life. And now you're telling us you want to become a politician. Those are the realities of life we're trying to escape. When they listen to your music, Asige, it's because we like hearing just, about love, breakups, whatever, nice things, vibes. Na inshallah. But now unasema unaingia tuelewe hiyo. But if you're able to integrate the two from a very early stage, kutoka sahizi, you somehow do a bit of artist or whatever creative, whatever work you do with a bit of leadership, with a bit of politics, say something political maybe in your shows, kidogo too, people will start to see both of you. Like, what's his name? Lastly, Tesla. Who's that Tesla guy? Elon Musk. When he went to government with Trump, people were also very appalled. They were like, but you're just some IT guy. What do you mean you're a businessman? So, which is, you know, in contrast to what Rapcha was saying, that people are able to look at a businessman and a politician and say like, oh, that's okay. But Elon Musk also suffered the same, and he wasn't even able to last there for 1 year, you know, before he had to leave. So I think it depends on who you are, how you communicate, how visible you are in your art, and how much you integrate the two. The artivism and the activism together, so you can be seen as a leader.
And how you brand yourself. Fantastic.
Branding, yeah.
Willis, Raburu, and Octo, easy lessons in the mna take. I'm coming to you, but let's get the vision of Kenya you have. Fantastic, that's a beautiful Kenya, man.
Yeah.
One more that can tell us the vision of Kenya they have. I don't know you people if you're into that country already. Ujue wako tunakutegemea sana tukikutuma bunge. So that final person of the vision of Kenya they have or what? But for us to change and experience that country, we must take a responsibility. I must vote. You. Lazima you vote a good person. Ndio hizo ills zishe kwa society. But if we vote the same people because they are giving us money ama because kuna wave, then sadly tutakuwa kwa hiyo. But I want us to experience that good Kenya. Oh, but okay, hiyo ndio mwisho. Sasa tukuje kwa Rapcha. Name please. Fantastic. Rapcha. Yes. Are we able to experience that country in our lifetime?
I don't think we have experienced that country. I don't think we will experience in our lifetimes, but we can make some changes. And I will touch on voting because I was born in an informal settlement in Madare Valley, and I have noticed from the time I was young the way politicians run their business. I have said here that I became a member of a CBO at a very young age, when I was 14 years, all the way until when I was around 27, when there was post-election violence. Now, na hii ningependa pia Octo asikie na pia Chrystal, because they're here. When these guys used to come to the slums, there are two groups of young people. There were us. I hear people saying that the youths are not organized. The youths are very, very organized. Ukiingia mahali kama Huruma, utapata we have CBOs, they have chairmen, they have secretaries. If you want to read the minutes, if you want to see their finances, they have a treasurer. So when the politicians came to do their politics in the slums, they used to ignore the organized youth. And then they go to what now we are calling goons, you know, the youths who are just smoking weed in the streets and doing this kind of other things. So, ningependa kuona young leaders like Octopizzo and Chrystal and Willis ametoka ameenda. At least let us try to use the organized youth, because the bad politicians are taking full advantage of the youth who are not organized, because they are, like, I would say it is a 60-40 kind of scenario when you go to the slums. You find 40% of the youths, they are very organized, they have self-help, they have CBOs, they have everything. So I would like a Kenya where Octo anasema, for instance, there's an organization we started in Madare Valley when we became adults, because people don't know what happens to members of a youth group when you stop becoming a youth. When you stop becoming a youth, what happens to the youth group now? Yeah, what happens to the youth group? So we started an organization that was an umbrella of, but the sad thing, there's not even one politician who shows up. Like, I would like all these groups, because we have like over 100 groups. These groups, each group has like 40, 50 youths who are very well organized. They are mostly, the people who take advantage of that organization is the NGOs. You know, the NGOs, they come today, they use the organized youth. But I have never really seen Kenyan politicians come into an informal settlement to talk to organized youth. They always come to talk, wanaweza simama juu ya gari. Now you're talking to idlers. Unajua, ukisimama juu ya gari hapa, you're not talking about policies of this area. Mimi naweza kuwa napita hapa hivi naenda shughuli zangu, naenda na huko. I'm going to listen to you, you're a politician. You don't have any policies of this area on top of a car. You need to go to people who are organized in that area. So nikiona young leaders kama Octo, they are starting to organize young people in this way, I can be very, very happy, because this is the only way that these youths wanaweza rise up against the bad youths. Because we tried to rise up against the goons, but we couldn't be able to do it, because the politician is supporting the
goons.
Yeah, the goons. And we have a youth group, and we have another group there with women, wakona self-help. I don't know what, they are organized. Everyone in Nairobi is organized. But I feel that the focus of most politicians. Magun pia wako organized. Magun wako, in fact, wako very, very organized, because hao ndio politician wanatumia. So so I would like a Kenya where naona mwanasiasa anaingia kwa area and anaweza ongea na watu wengine, you know, si ati ni mbaya kuongea na watu kiwa juu ya gari, but tunaona you start with the people who are organized, and then you now come to talk to the regular people, because it is the people who are organized who actually change the community, because it is a community organization. So kama tuko hapa in this area, it means if our leader can listen to us. For instance, Octo anaran Kibich and in Saba, Lindi, all these places, they have organizations. If you become a leader, these are the people you're going to need, because these are the young leaders. They are the chairman, the secretaries of all these groups. I would like a Kenya where I see leaders come into an area to talk to youth who actually are organized. And then you can do your business. If you want to do a rally on the roadside, you can do that. but actually talk to the people who know the problems. Because every time these youths sit down in their meetings, they are only talking about the problems in their area. Ukiona watu Huruma wameshikana, wameamua kuchukua garbage, is because walijua this is the problem in this area, tunafaa kuchukua garbage. But there is no help from any leader whatsoever, any political leader. So I would like a Kenya where political leaders, when they come down to the people, they try to talk to people who are organized and not the youths who are disorganized.
Okay, fantastic. As Baraza Media, when you hear all these conversations and obviously I want to imagine you have even access to some leaders, what is the leadership saying about these conversations? Because you've held this civic engagement for, is it 3 months now? What's the feedback from the leadership?
Which leadership?
The national. You could call it political or governance, whichever, because you see, at the end of the day, when you hold these, it reflects on the other side. So what's the feeling like?
No, I don't know about that, because for us, we represent the creatives and the people as well, right? And so our mandate is to creatives and to people, and to make sure that what we're doing is sending that message. Sometimes there's feedback, sometimes there's no feedback, right? Because when you're conducting like public participation, you know, it's not ati wataturudishia nini response ya Kenya tulikuwa tumesema, right? But for us, we believe that our mandate is to make sure that at least kuna your bridge, right? Kuna your pathway, your avenue, that conversation, right? We have some creatives who are in some of these spots, right? Tulikuwa tumeongea juu yake Kobo before, right? We have, you know, Dana Center is part of our membership, right? Na kwa hiyo board ya Kobo, right? So job yetu as Baraza sasa ni kukam na kusema cheki, artists kuna hii form, this is what is happening, nyi mnaonaje, right? And when we have access to some of these guys who are in these positions of power, as a form yetu sasa ni kurudisha hiyo feedback, right? And to figure out, is there a way in which we can make this environment and this ecosystem better for everyone involved. So I think for us, that's as far as we go, but also to kind of react to what guys have been saying. I think for me, I believe that the Kenya I would like to see is a Kenya where there's trust, where tunaweza kutrust what the politician has said is true, and they mean what they say, and they are going to do it, right? That would make our work so much easier. Unajua shida yetu sasa ni saa ingine tuna accept uongo, you get. Mzee anakuja anatudanganya atafanya hivi na hivi na hivi na hivi, alafu afanye. You know, for me, what the Kenya I want looks like is a Kenya where there is trust. Mzee atakuja aseme hii manifesto yangu, atushow point by point what they are going to do, right? And then go ahead and do it, right? Shida tu ni your gap that we really can't control.
Which I think as Baraza you're playing a good part, because it has to start somewhere. As they say, we have to keep talking, because if we don't talk, we will kill each other probably, which is not right. Senator Chrystal, as we wrap up from your perspective, what is this vision of Kenya that you have, and from the experience that we had, let's say with June 25th Maandamano, do you feel that as we approach 2027 we're getting there?
I think that we are getting there. From the protests of 2024, the thing that really tilted, or what really made a shift in this country, is when young people, of course, went to the streets, but didn't just go to the streets to make noise, but actually wrote down as a collective. You know, there was an agreement across the country of these are the kinds of things that we want. Yeah, and let me join it with what has just been said as well. You're asking about these barazas, how do they channel, or how do they trickle down to politicians, and then how does that look like in policy?
Yes.
I think that I want to see a Kenya where, because I've now understood it, now I've understood, and I'm understanding the psychology of a politician, okay? What I think we need to do as young people more and more is, when you have a meeting like this, talk, discuss, debate, etc. But at the end, there needs to be something that is written down as like resolutions of this particular meeting. Barazas, that's what, if any of you are followers of Raila Odinga and his politics, that's what he usually does. He goes and he sits and he listens, people yell, people do whatever, and at the end, there's a statement that is read to the media, isn't it? We have resolved to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Yes.
I think that us as people in this room or any baraza that you go to need to also implore or employ that kind of methodology, so that tusiongee tu alafu kesho tuende nyumbani na vibes. But somebody should be writing down the minutes, writing down the resolutions, and then presenting them to maybe your area MP or to maybe your county senator, whomever, the woman rep, whatever it might be. Because you will remember that in 2024, you guys did that. You said, we want a change in cabinet, we want this, and that list went all around social media across the country. Hadi Mheshimiwa, the president, had to come on a space and listen to all young people in Kenya, because you demanded for him to come and listen, and he did. So the problem has always been that politicians come to you guys in your communities, and they tell you what they're going to do for you. It should be you telling us what you want to be done. And that means what I'm saying. Sit down, talk, 100 people, 200 people, 1,000 people, decide these are the things that we've resolved, and we're going to, whomever comes in before us, tutamwambia, this is what we want you to do in this place. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you're willing to, hata kama ni kusign MOU, make it official so that they're bound to something. Let me tell you something. I don't know if you guys remember Jacob Zuma, South Africa. In South Africa, they have a system where the political party is the one that is voted into government, not an individual, not a candidate. And so when Jacob Zuma became the president, he was actually recalled by his party, because the party was like, tumekutumoko, na unafanya hivi, vibaya unafanya hivi, there's all these scandals around your name, we are going to recall you. And they did recall him. So another thing that I want to see more in Kenya, my vision for Kenya, is having political parties where the party leader is not the presidential candidate. So that when somebody becomes a president, he or she has a political party nyuma yake that they are accountable to. And that they're afraid if the consequence of me doing wrong in this seat of power is that I will be recalled by my party. Kwa sababu sahi, every single party leader becomes automatically the presidential candidate, which is a real problem in our country, because then they have ultimate power, wakifika huko juu, and they remote control all of their members, exactly. Okay. I also want to see a Kenya where servanthood is the primary goal of a leader, where they understand that if servanthood is beneath you, then leadership is beyond you, kind of thing, right? People should stop calling themselves Mheshimiwa. Call yourself or think of yourself as a public servant, because that's what you're here to do. You're here to serve. I'm here to serve you guys, and that's why I'm asking, unataka nini? When you go to a restaurant, ukienda KFC, wherever, someone comes to you and says, what do you want to eat? Si ati mimi nakwambia as a waiter, okay, kula hii na kula hii na kula hii, right? So you are supposed to be telling me what you want, so that I can go and implement that, so that I can secure your support. That's how it should go, and that's the kind that I want to see, where people understand that if servanthood is above you, then leadership is beyond you. Wow. And I also want to see a Kenya, finally, sorry, my bad. I'm actually an artist. I just like to, if I could sing, I would sing. Anyway, I would also like to see a Kenya again that has redefined Kenyan politics. I will repeat that. I want to see a Kenya where politics is redefined, and the politician is also redefined. And I think that this is a generation that has that mandate to do so. We are in a transitional government, according to me. And this is the moment that you guys can redefine everything in Kenya. So don't forget that. Thanks.
Redefine Kenyan politics. Fantastic. Octo, unajua utatupea your feedback on the same, but tie that to the lessons that you picked from June 25th that have pushed you to want to run for politics, and the vision of Kenya that you have.
The lessons zenye nililearn hiyo time, first nilikuwa tu nimekaa kijani naona tu vile maboi wanachachisha inanikumbusha days zangu nikichachisha mtaa. But now what shocked me the most was like I saw my brother He didn't even tell me he was going to demonstrate. So I saw him on TV. He's like Ademba's friend. And I'm like, hey, bro, mnadu nini? Ati nyinyi mnakaa tu. Nyinyi mnakaa tu kwa nyumba. Unajua venye ni kubaya. So unajua sasa yeye ameanza life peke yake, ako na nyumba yake, anaanza kustruggle. Sio ameanza kumeet, amerealize haizi ni ngoja mimi nifightie rights zake, haizi ni ngoja mimi nifightie Kenya anataka. Tu labda Kenya yeye anataka mimi niko comfortable tu, mimi nisha kwa msanii, niko na kizangu. Kaniambia mazee mimi niko hapa juu. Umeangalia hiyo bill venye inafanya hizi taxes zote tunalipa na mimi mwenyewe sina kazi. Na bado nalipa tax na sina kazi, lazima utalipa rent, lazima utabuy food na hizi vitu zote zimekata. Alifanya nitoke Kejani, nimjoin. Not only because of, even if I didn't believe in like the finance bill, because I really believed him and how he had like articulated what like he feel like is terrible. And this goes back to us, the millennials na parents wetu wenye tulikuwa tunaambia tu msiende, hiyo si vita yetu. Msiende, si tumedemonstrate sana. Wacheni watu wengine wa demonstrate. That's the time that I was like, okay, it's enough with this. Like, you can do so much. Msel kana niambia, so umekuwa kidu hizi stuff na foundation yako, umemake a lot of good stuff kwa community, youth programs, umekuwa na women programs over the years. Mbona unataka kuenda tena parliament? Unaweza do tu hizi stuff from a foundation perspective. Nikamwambia unajua kuna vitu zingine sasa ziko policy that it doesn't matter hata foundation yako iko na do ngapi, huwezi do hizo vitu kama the structures don't allow you or the policies don't allow you. And these policies are made in parliament. Sasa mtu anaweza kuuliza, kwani umefanya nini wewe msanii unataka kuwa sasa unataka kurun unapiga huyu MP amekaa. Sasa kwani unataka msanii aende legislate barabara? Wapi? Hakuna day watasema Octo wewe kuja parliament leo kama Octo utuambie shida ya Kibera iko wapi. Hakuna day. Labda uiweke kwa ngoma which probably was our parliament hata sikio ngoma venye Rapcha alisema music is very young and very youthful depending with it, which type of music you're doing. So sometimes it needs us to now take a step further, tuingie huko ndani to project worries za our peers na wase wako nyuma yetu na wase pia watakam. People like us now also kids wako wamekuwa teenagers. Unaanza kuulizwa maswali zingine ngumu zenye wewe huwezi hata jibu as a parent, and you see like this is a all structural problem. So tying down to the Kenya me I want, the Kenya I want is where structures actually work. Because if structures work, hata Rapcha anaweza kuwa hapo president na hakuna kitu atadujo, kila kitu atakuwa nafuata structure. Structures ina work. Unaona sahi Trump ni mlainer huko hivyo US, but kuna structures zina work zenye hizi mess. Anaweza fanya hizo uchizi zake nyingi, but kuna mahali unasema mazee law inasema hii ndio kitu lazima ifanyike hapa. Hii ndio kitu lazima ifanyike hapa. Huwezi chuja tu msee ati arudi kwao, hebu tuangalie paperwork zake. So that's the Kenya one, where structures really work, and two, the rule of law is followed. Huku hivi hakuna rule of law huwa inafuatwa. Huku ni ganji naongeaga. Mtu asiye kudanganya. Hata sasa hii judiciary yetu ni performative. Because kama Chief Justice haizi toka nje asema kumada wase ni mbaya na wase wamemadana wamepatikana accountable. Tangu wase wamadwe June 25th until leo. Wase wangapi wameshikwa? Wase wangapi wameshikwa? Wakasema wase walidai karibu 63. Nani ameshikwa? Wakasema tunataka kufunga hii story. That was 2024. 2 years later, we have a judiciary, we have a parliament, we have all these other bodies, including the NGO world. Watu wangapi wameshikwa? Where's the accountability? Because the structures don't work. So let the structures work. Number 3 and last one. I want to see a Kenya where hakuna corruption. Venyobo amesema ukichop ndo apply job, hakuna mtu anaangalia jina lako ya pili. Inakuwa so sad, especially now that we are talking about creatives. So sad that as a creative unaogopa hadi kujintroduce na jina lako ya ukweli. Mtu atasema utakumroga mjaka. So many, and not only in public but even artist to artist. Una meet artist unamwambia buda unatokaga wapi? Ati awe chorea tu. We niite tu Octo. Because you are so fear like venye utakuwa judge sasa according to your tribe. So if the structures work and if the institutions really work, and then there's no corruption in this country inaweza change. Kwanza na hiyo wanasemaga 5 years ni kidogo, sijui tupatie time, tupatie second term. If like the taxes were working for people, this country will change like in a year. Like it's not rocket science. It is not rocket science. So many atakamali structures in our work, because it will not matter who is in the top seat. They will follow the law and they'll follow the principles and the structures.
And it will work. And even if it was science, watu wameenda kwa moon the other day.
Yes.
Na wakarudi on earth. So either way, I mean, our country can do way much better. Thank you very much to all of you. You've been an amazing panelist. Totally appreciate it. Baraza Media, you guys are doing an amazing job and keep doing it. Senator, tunashukuru sana. When you go back to Parliament, please take some of this feedback.
I need to write it down for me. I do it. I absolutely will. If there's something that is structured, ideas that are structured, requests that are being made, I will table them in the House of Parliament.
Baraza Media has heard you, I know. And to the rest of you, you can catch this content on our YouTube channel, The Alpha House. It's amazing to have these conversations. And I appreciate you as an audience. You've been amazing, and keep at it. Remember, this country belongs to all of us. And if we want to see change, we must play a part in it. As they have said, everyone matters. Na hiyo vote moja, hiyo yako yenye bado hauko sure, can make a difference in the leadership from the MCA to the president. And that is how this country will change. And as they have said, it's not rocket science. And even if it's rocket science, we are in 2026. So we need to see changes. Because, I mean, we're in an age where science is now an everyday thing we're living. Sindio, thank you very much to you who's been watching this episode. We'll catch you on the next one.